how do women choose men? What goes through a woman's mind when she's interacting with a guy that causes her to say yes to having sex or a relationship with him? The way that it works is that women don't logically choose who they like. Instead, a woman feels attracted and drawn to certain things about a man and then begins to justify why she likes him and wants to be with him. For example, if you ask a woman what sort of man she wants, she will usually not say, "Oh, I want a bald man. I want a man with no hair." But if a woman meets a bald man and he is able to make her feel attracted by displaying some of the traits that I'll talk about later in this video, then she will feel attracted to him, and in some cases, not all, but in some cases, she will then start to justify why she likes him and why she wants to be with him. So, for example, she may say to herself, "He's bald, but he's confident," or "He's bald, but he's charming, he's funny," and she likes him because of that. She finds him attractive for those reasons. Likewise, if you ask a woman what sort of man she wants, she's usually not going to say, "Skinny, I want a skinny man. Give me a man with absolutely no muscles." But if a woman meets a man who is skinny and doesn't have big muscles, doesn't work out, he can still make her feel sparks of attraction by displaying the type of traits that trigger attraction inside of a woman. And that doesn't mean the skinny guy can attract and pick up every woman in the world, right? The skinny guy gets all the girls. Instead, the way that it works is that women can actually feel attracted to traits that have nothing to do with the man's physical appearance, and then they rationalize it and justify it in their own mind. So, for example, with the skinny guy, she may say that he is funny or charming or charismatic, or he is authentic. He is confident in a relaxed way, and she likes that. Likewise, when it comes to an overweight man, right? Most women aren't going through life saying, "Give me a fat man. I want a guy who's overweight." But when a woman meets a guy who is overweight, she can feel attracted to him if he's displaying the sort of traits that trigger attraction inside of a woman. And once again, it doesn't mean that the fat man gets all the girls in the world and he can pick up any woman that he meets. Instead, the way that it works is that if a woman meets a man who is overweight and he's displaying traits such as being confident, charming, charismatic, funny, or he's flirting with her and he really backs that up with true confidence, then she will naturally feel sparks of attraction for him, because attraction is a reaction to attractive traits. So now that you understand that, let's have a look at the 4 general steps that a woman goes through in her mind before opening up to having sex or a relationship with a man. So, number 1, she assesses if he has attractive personality traits. When a woman meets a guy, she subconsciously scans for attractive traits such as confidence, social intelligence, and emotional independence. Emotional independence is the opposite of neediness, right? So if a man is emotionally dependent on a woman's reactions and her showing interest in him, then he is needy. However, if a man can feel confident and feel good about himself, regardless of how the woman is reacting, then he's emotionally independent. Emotional independence is important to women because they don't want to get into a relationship with a man who's going to be needy and insecure. A woman wants to be with a man who can feel confident and feel good about himself regardless of how she's behaving. So this assessment of your personality traits, your behavior, happens right away. And the woman then continues to evaluate how she feels as she interacts with you, which leads me to point number 2. She evaluates how she feels when interacting with him. So once he starts talking, she pays attention to how he makes her feel. If the conversation is fun, engaging, or is slightly challenging in a playful way, then she's going to be feeling good emotions and she's going to want to keep talking to him. Likewise, if he is confident and relaxed and masculine and he's not being fun, but he's having a conversation with her that makes her feel feminine in comparison to his manliness, his ruggedness, then she's going to feel attracted to that too, and she's going to want to continue interacting with him. However, if the guy is being way too nice to her, or he seems too nervous when interacting with her, or finally, he's just being too neutral like a friend, then in almost all cases, she's not going to be feeling the kind of emotions that will make her want to have sex or a relationship with a guy. And this is where a lot of guys get stuck, right? A guy might focus on building up his muscles or his career, and he may make some progress on that. And on paper, he has more value now, right? He has a good job, he's in shape, fantastic. That's a lot of work, and he's done a great job to do that. But when he starts talking to a woman that he finds attractive, she doesn't seem interested. And he's thinking, well, what the heck's going on here? And in most cases, it's going to be that he's being too nice, neutral, or nervous when interacting with her. So being too nice means that he's sucking up to her a bit. He's putting on an act of being an extra nice guy to hopefully impress her. He's being very careful with his words. He's careful with his behavior and his body language. He doesn't look at her cleavage and so forth. He's just looking at her in the eyes and trying to show her that he's a really nice guy. And being too neutral is he's just talking to her in a neutral way, like a friend or like a co-worker or even like a cousin or something like that, just a female that he has no sexual interest in. He's talking to her in a very flat way, and he hopes that if he continues to get along with her, then she's going to like him and she's going to want him sexually. And the thing is, what usually happens in a case like that is the guy gets placed in the friend zone because the woman doesn't feel a sexual spark with him. He's not doing anything to trigger her sexual attraction, but he's definitely being likable, right? He's definitely someone that she can get along with. And from his perspective, that's enough because men don't really need anything else other than the woman to look good and be nice. All right, good, done. But a woman needs to be able to feel attracted to the type of traits and behaviors that you are displaying. And two traits that will get a guy out of the friend zone with a woman are to flirt or to use what I call playfully challenging humor. And that wakes up the interaction, right? If you flirt with a woman, it's about showing your sexual and romantic interest in a playful way, in a non-serious way. And she's able to do that back to you. It's a discreet, subtle language that men and women use when they're interacting with each other to communicate their sexual interest. And playfully challenging humor is where you don't just make a joke for the sake of making a joke, or you try to say something funny to be funny, or be goofy or be silly. Instead, playfully challenging humor is where you playfully challenge the woman with what you're saying, and that attracts her because you have the confidence to do it, the courage, the emotional independence, right? You're not needy and hoping to get a result by being on your best behavior and so forth. You have the emotional independence to be able to playfully push her away, playfully challenge her and risk her not liking it, which isn't going to happen if you do it right, because the woman feels attracted to the fact that you have the confidence to do that, the social intelligence to do it, the emotional intelligence. You're able to say something like that in the moment to make her feel attracted. For example, if a guy's talking to a woman at a party or a bar and she says that her co-workers were driving her crazy that day, right? Most guys will then say, oh, well, what happened, right? They'll just try to get along with her, or maybe the guy will be very nice and try to be very comforting and supportive, or he may want to agree with her that people are crazy, aren't they? You know, that person's really bad and so forth, and get into a conversation with her like that. But a guy who's going to attract her in that moment is going to wake her up and make her feel attracted to his confidence, his courage, his social intelligence, his ability to put her on the spot in a playful way and make her feel feminine in comparison to his masculinity in the moment, will say something like this. So were your co-workers driving you crazy, or were you driving them crazy? Or maybe you were driving them crazy. Or, okay, so your co-workers were driving you crazy and now you're driving me crazy. Or, so your co-workers were driving you crazy, hey? Are you sure it wasn't you driving them crazy? And in that moment, she's going to laugh. She's going to feel that playful challenge. She's going to feel a bit shocked in a playful way. And she's going to see that the guy isn't needy. He's not needy and trying to get a result by being on his best behavior. And he's not putting on an act of being nicer than he is or wants to be to hopefully get in her panties, right? Oh, they were driving you crazy. Yeah, so what happened? Oh, well, that sounds quite unfortunate, doesn't it? And just be a nice little friend for her and end up in the friend zone, right? So there are things that make women feel attracted, and there are things that make women feel neutral, and there are things that make women feel turned off. And if you want women to want you, if you want women to choose you, you've got to be able to display the sort of traits that make them feel attracted. And playfully challenging humor is not the only trait. There are so many different traits that you can display that trigger sexual and romantic attraction inside of a woman. Number 3, she decides based on his behavior, not his intentions. So a guy might think that because he really likes a woman and has good intentions with her, she should want to be with him because of that. I mean, what else does she want? Yet, that's not how attraction works and how women choose men. Women don't choose a man based on what he wants to do for them. Instead, a woman chooses a man based on how she feels in the moment with him, which is mostly determined by his behavior and not his intentions. This is where a lot of guys go wrong. For example, a guy will assume that showing interest in a woman, being available and trying to prove to her in the way that he's talking to her and behaving around her that he would treat her well is what makes a woman want to choose a man. He may even think, if I could just let her know how much I like her, then she'd see that I'm the best choice, right? I'm not going to be stuffing her around. I'm not like these other guys. Yet, attraction isn't about who likes a woman the most. Instead, it's a reaction to certain traits and behaviors that a man displays. For example, a man may have the best intentions with a woman, but if his behavior comes across as insecure, hesitant, out of fear, or if he's overly eager and keen, then she's not going to feel much or any attraction for him and won't want to choose him as the man to have sex or a relationship with. On the other hand, if the man knows how to display the sort of traits that trigger a woman's attraction, then she's going to start to justify in her mind why she should actually choose him. Due to the attraction that she's feeling for him, she will look at his physical appearance in a more positive light. She'll be more forgiving. And if he makes her feel enough attraction, then she will want to be with him. She will want to choose him as the man to have sex or a relationship with. And before I give you the fourth one on the list here, I'll just point out that if you're enjoying what you're learning so far and would like to learn what to say and do to display all of the traits that make women feel sexually and romantically attracted to you, then I recommend that you head over to masterattraction.com and begin learning. While learning from the lessons, you also have access to the Master Attraction community. And that's where you can interact with other guys who are learning from me, you can make new friends, you can catch up in person to go out meeting women together, and so on. The members of the community who are using my attraction techniques are getting amazing results with women. For example, members are having sex with women on the first night that they meet them, even though they've never done that before. Other members have women asking to be their girlfriend after having sex together. Another member had a woman start to talk about marriage. And other members are just getting the results that they want. They're having sex with women, they're getting dates, they're enjoying their choice of women, and they're finally getting control over this area of their life, rather than hoping to get lucky, hoping to be chosen by women. By the way, if you become a member, you also have 24/7 access to support and advice from Dan Bacon AI. Dan Bacon AI is the AI that I have trained to respond exactly like I would if you and I were talking one-on-one. You can upload text screenshots of a text conversation that you're having with a woman and get real-time feedback from Dan Bacon AI on where you're going wrong, what you're doing right, and what you need to text instead to get the result you want. So if you'd like to know exactly what to say and do to make women feel sexually and romantically attracted to you, or if you want community, you want to be able to make new friends or get a wingman to go out meeting women with, or if you want to have my AI clone ready to help you 24/7 with any situation with women, then head over to masterattraction.com. And now for number 4 on the list. She opens up to having sex or to getting into a relationship with him. So in almost all cases, when a woman chooses a man, right, she feels attracted to him, she assesses if he has attractive personality traits and behaviors, she assesses how she feels and evaluates how she feels when she's interacting with him, his behavior, and so on. She then becomes open to having sex or a relationship with him, but she then doesn't say, hey, give me your phone number, or move in for a kiss, or say, hey, let's go home and have sex, in almost all cases, right? In almost all cases, you still then have to move things forward, or as I often say, shoot your shot, right? You got to get her phone number or move in for a kiss, or suggest that she come back to your place at a bar or party, or suggest after a date that you go for a walk together, or you go grab a drink together, or maybe even go back to your place. You do something to move it forward rather than waiting for her to move it forward for you. So, for example, if a guy is talking to a woman in person and makes her feel attracted, then she's going to be feeling interested in him. And if he then asks for her number, she begins to see him as more than just a guy that she's feeling attracted to and will possibly forget. Now, there's a chance that they might actually become lovers, or boyfriend and girlfriend, or maybe even husband and wife one day. Yet, if a guy just keeps talking and doesn't do anything, and the interaction begins to fizzle out, a woman will often make negative assumptions. For example, she'll assume that he's afraid of rejection, or she will assume that he's not interested enough in her to actually move things forward. Alternatively, she'll just lose interest because it won't feel right between him and her. Instinctively, she knows that things should flow from one step to the next between a man and a woman. It shouldn't feel awkward, right? It shouldn't feel uncomfortable all the way. There should be some flow to it. It should work. There should be a sexual spark between you and her. She should start to feel romantically attracted to you, romantically interested in you. She should start to want something sexual and romantic with you. And if she doesn't feel that, or if she is feeling that and you're not trying to move things forward, you're hesitating and stalling, then she can start to think, well, what's going on here? Is he afraid to make a move and therefore does he lack confidence? And if that's the case, she starts to lose interest. Or is he not even that attracted? He's not interested enough to move things forward. In that case, she starts to put her guard up because she doesn't want to open herself up to a guy who doesn't even really like her anyway. So the thing is, a woman can start to choose you within seconds of interacting with you if you're displaying attractive traits. And she can then continue to choose you after that if you're able to continue displaying attractive traits. But you always have to remember that when you've made a woman feel attracted to you, you then need to move things forward. You've got to shoot your shot. You've got to give yourself a chance and make something happen.